The 13th of January 2019 T 16 hours 58 minutes and 53 seconds, 323Z Wimbledon planning statue to honor Andy MurrayAndy Murray's career will be recognized with a statue at Wimbledon. Murray, who became the first British player in 77 years to win the men's singles title at the All England Club in 2013, is retiring from tennis this year due to continuing pain in his hip. A bronze statue of three-time Wimbledon champion, Fred Perry, was unveiled at the club's grounds in 1984, and Murray's achievements are also set to be commemorated. All England Club chief executive Richard Lewis told the BBC Radio 5 Live Sports Week programme, "We always felt that when Andy retired, that would be the appropriate time to recognise his extraordinary career. I am sure something like that, a statue, will be done, but meanwhile down at the club he is seen as a highly respected person both on and off the court. We are very fond of him and he is a great person to have around the club." Murray beat Novak Djokovic to claim his first Wimbledon title in 2013 before winning the tournament for a second time 3 years later. The former world number one hopes to bring the curtain down on his career at Wimbledon later this year. He faces Roberto Bautista Agut in the first round of the Australian Open on Monday, the 13th of January 2019 T 15 hours 27 minutes and 14 seconds. 026Z Watson wants to feel more relaxed on court. Heather Watson is hoping the Australian Open can help her break out of the vicious cycle she has become trapped in, writes Eleanor Crooks of the Press Association. There have been a few highs mixed with a lot of lows since the 26-year-old nearly caused a monumental shock against Serena Williams in the third round of Wimbledon in 2015. At that stage her career still appeared very much on the up, but last year she dropped out of the top 100 before climbing back again and will begin her campaign at Melbourne Park. Ranked 108th, Watson is usually a positive talker, so it was telling when she said ahead of her clash with 31st seed Petra Martic on Monday, "I feel like the last year or two I have not been doing as well as I should be or could be doing. I've been working really hard, so I'm just wanting the hard work to match the results. But the more I get older the more I realize how mental it is and how the most important thing is just being confident in yourself and being able to stay relaxed in those tense, important moments. I go back outside the top 100. And then, in my mind, I want to get straight back in immediately, but it doesn't always work out like that, so I have to be patient." Asked why she has not managed to find the answers, Watson said, "Probably because I'm emotional. I need to relax a bit more and not put too much pressure on myself. It's a vicious cycle and I just want to get out of that cycle and enjoy it more and not put too much on winning, especially in the bigger tournaments." A Watson, who has won only a single match at the last 5 Grand Slams combined and only one match in the last 5 years at Melbourne Park, is one of 7 British players competing on the opening day of the tournament. Well, most of the attention will fall on Andy Murray. Qualifier Harriet Dart has her own momentous occasion when she takes on Maria Sharapova on Rod Laver Arena. The 22-year-old landed the plum draw at only her second major tournament, and is relishing the occasion. She said, "Sharapova has been my idol since I was very little. She always looked so nice when she was playing, and also the way she holds herself on the court, her presence. She has been so successful in the game. I have always looked up to her, and it will be pretty cool to play her." There will be higher expectations on Dart's fellow qualifier Dan Evans, who faces Japan's Tatsuma Ito, while Kyle Edmund will hope to survive a stinker of a first-round draw against Tomas Berdych. The Czech has reached at least the quarterfinals in 7 of the last 8 years but is unseeded after slipping down the rankings because of injury. Edmund's ranking would drop outside the top 20 should he fall at the first hurdle after last year's remarkable run to the last 4, but he has not been losing any sleep over it. He said, "It's a number on a sheet of paper. The worst that can happen is I lose and I go down a bunch of rankings. This year's so long, there's so many more opportunities after this tournament to do well." Katie Boulter marks her slam debut outside of Wimbledon by taking on experienced Russian Ekaterina Makarova, while in form Cameron Norrie, fresh from reaching his first ATP Tour final in Auckland this weekend, plays doubles partner Taylor Fritz, of the USA. Order of play: the 13th of January 2019, T 14 hours 52 minutes and 7 seconds, 923. The Eleanor Crooks of the Press Association takes a look at 8 of the best matchups on the opening day in Melbourne. Roberto Bautista Gut v Andy Murray. All eyes will be on Melbourne Arena for what could be Murray's last professional match. While his mind and most of his body are still more than willing, his right hip leaves him severely compromised. Spaniard Bautista Gut, in form and one of the biggest grinders on tour, offers a formidable challenge. Kyle Edmund v Tomas Berdych is the 13th seed. Edmund would have hoped for a kind draw, but his luck was out. Last year's semi-finalist will face former top 10 stalwart Berdych, whose ranking has dropped to 57 after back problems saw him miss the second half of last season. Nick Kyrgios v Milos Raonic. Kyrgios' poor results have caused the Australian's ranking to plummet outside the top 50, making him one of the key unseeded floaters in the draw. His name landed next to 16th seed Raonic, a former semi-finalist in Melbourne. Marin Cilic v Bernard Tomic. The other Australian bad boy also has a high-profile first-round match against last year's runner-up Cilic. Tomic failed to qualify 12 months ago but has climbed back into the top 100. Simona Halep v Kaia Konopka. Halep goes into the tournament as world number 1 and last year's beaten finalist, but the Romanian is also on a 5-match losing streak, including a first-round defeat by big-hitting Estonian Kanepi at the US Open. Alison van Uytvanck v Caroline Wozniacki. Wozniacki defeated Halep to win a long-awaited first Slam title here 12 months ago, but the rest of 2018 was a struggle, and in October, she revealed a diagnosis of rheumatoid arthritis. Belgian van Uytvanck is not at her best on hard courts but has proved capable of big wins. Staniaeva v Madison Keys. American Keys has reached at least the quarterfinals at 4 of the last 5 slams but could face a stern first test against exciting 18-year-old Australian wildcard Ava. Sloane Stephens v Taylor Townsend. Stephens' last 6 Grand Slams have yielded 1 title, 1 final, 1 quarterfinal and 3 first-round exits, which rather sums up the 5th seed's unpredictability. In the first round here, she takes on one of the most stylish players in the draw in fellow American Taylor Townsend. Andy Murray. The 13th of January 2019, T 14 hours 29 minutes and 36 seconds, 940. The Andy Murray's surgeon has revealed it will be very difficult for the British tennis star to continue playing until Wimbledon. On Friday, an emotional Murray stated his intention to retire from tennis at his home tournament later this summer, but Dr. John O'Donnell, who operated on the Scots' troublesome right hip, said, "I don't think it is impossible, but it will be very difficult." Speaking on BBC Radio 5 Live's Sports Week program, O'Donnell also said that Murray had exhausted all avenues in a bid to return to the top level. "He has tried really hard and explored every option that has any real possibility of being helpful." O'Donnell added, "Realistically, I don't think there is anywhere else to go to preserve his hip and get it better so he can continue to play. That won't happen now." Coverage. The 13th of January 2019, T 14 hours 16 minutes and 25 seconds. 060. Welcome back to our live coverage of the 2019 Australian Open. Coverage. The 11th of January 2019, T 22 hours 0 minutes and 36 seconds, 426. That's about all from us tonight. Thanks for joining us on a huge day for British sport. The 11th of January 2019, T 20 hours 30 minutes and 34 seconds, 660. Djokovic. He's a friend of mine that I grew up with. Just a couple of days ago, Novak Djokovic was in a warm-up match with Murray. Now the world number 1 is paying tribute with his rival and friend nearing retirement from the sport. "It's quite a shock for me honestly because we are the same age, the same generation," Djokovic said at an event in Melbourne. "It's quite sad to see him going through what he has been going through. As someone who has been through a major injury with my elbow in the last couple of years, I can definitely empathize with him and relate to what he's going through. I trained with him a couple of days ago and we got to chatting a little bit. He's a great champion. He's a friend of mine that I grew up with. It's kind of sad to know that he might play his last Australian Open, but I do wish him all the best." There's a lot of things in life I'm sure to be grateful for. The 11th of January 2019 T 19 hours 19 minutes and 42 seconds, 786 Z Nadal pays tribute to Murray. The 11th of January 2019 T 17 hours 17 minutes and 39 seconds, 286 Z Murray gets a big cuddle from mum. Andy Murray has thanked his mother Judy for her support following an emotional announcement on his impending retirement from the sport. The tennis star broke down in tears on Friday when he announced that Wimbledon would be his last tournament if he was able to make it through the Australian Open. Murray, who has been struggling with a hip injury for about 20 months, shared a touching photograph of himself with his mother and said the best way to feel better after a tough day is a big cuddle from your mum. He added that he was genuinely touched by all the support he had received from fans after he was overcome with emotion when he announced his impending retirement in Melbourne. Best way to feel better after a tough day is a big cuddle from your mum, he said. Genuinely been very touched by all of the messages and support from everybody today. It means a lot and has made me feel much more positive than when I woke this morning. Thank you so much. The 11th of January 2019 T 14 hours 21 minutes and 57 seconds, 136 Z Standard Sport looks back at every title Andy Murray has won, including his knighthood. How many times has Andy Murray won Wimbledon? Murray won his first Wimbledon title in 2013, beating Novak Djokovic in straight sets in front of a partisan crowd. Around 17 million Brits watched on TV as Murray held it together to beat Djokovic, ending a 76-year wait for a British Grand Slam champion. After undergoing back surgery at the end of 2013, Murray had to wait 3 years to claim his next Wimbledon title. In 2016 he beat Canada's Milos Raonic. The same year he reached his 5th Australian Open final and 1st French Open final. How many Grand Slam titles does he have? Murray has 3 Grand Slam victories to his name, the 2 at Wimbledon in 2013 and 2016 and the US Open victory in 2012. In 2 of those victories, Murray came face-to-face with the Serbian Djokovic, first at Flushing Meadows and then later in London. Which Olympics did Andy Murray participate in? Murray took part in the 2012 Olympics in London and the 2016 Games in Rio de Janeiro. How many Olympic medals does he have? Murray's first Olympic medal came in 2012, just a few weeks after he lost to Roger Federer in the Wimbledon final. But on his return, he managed to ride a wave of national euphoria to beat Federer in the men's singles and claim Olympic gold. He also won silver in the mixed doubles in the same tournament with his partner Laura Robson. In 2016, he outlasted Juan Martín del Potro on a steamy Rio evening to become the first player to win 2 Olympic singles golds. What other tournaments has Murray won? Consecutive titles in Beijing, Shanghai, Vienna and Paris, then at the ATP Finals in London, where he beat Djokovic in the final, meant Murray ended 2016 as the ATP's world number 1 for the first time, 7 years after first being ranked 2. And in 2015, he helped Great Britain win the Davis Cup for the first time since 1936 with a win over Belgium. He almost single-handedly won it for Britain, defying convention and ending an unforgettable weekend in Ghent with an audacious topspin lob to seal victory against David Goffin. Is Andy Murray knighted? Following his absolutely stellar 2016, Murray was honored with a knighthood in 2017, the same year he rose to number 1 in the world rankings. At 29 years old, Murray became the youngest person in living memory, as well as the first active tennis player, to become a knight. The 11th of January 2019 T 13 hours 21 minutes and 29 seconds, 966 Z Andy Murray's life off the court. Andy Murray's announcement he may retire by the summer has sent shockwaves through the sporting world, with an outpouring of sympathy over the star's hip injury. Andy has been described as one of Britain's greatest sportsmen, leaving his mark both on and off the court. The British number 1 first started playing tennis aged 3, when his mother, Judy Murray, took him down to the local courts to play. The 31-year-old's first competitive tournament was at age 5, and by the time he was 8, he was competing with adults. Murray played many different sports as a child, excelling at football. His maternal grandfather was a professional player, and tennis, where being on court allowed him to spend time with his mum, who was forging a successful career as a tennis coach. The tennis star and his elder brother, Jamie Murray, attended Dunblane Primary School, which later became infamous because of the 1996 shooting, though he said he was too young to understand what was happening at the time. Andy and his elder brother, Jamie Murray, has since rarely spoken in public about the traumatic event, in which 16 children and a teacher died. His mother has spoken publicly about the horrific ordeal, saying it was a dark, tragic time for the family's hometown. During Murray's career, Mrs. Murray has grown to be a well-known public figure as she cheered on her son from the crowd. After Murray's historical Wimbledon triumph in 2013, cameras were on the tennis star after he accidentally forgot to hug his mum in celebration. He was reminded after his tennis coach urged him to, with Ms. Murray revealing later he said, "Hi Mum." Partnered with Anton Dubik, Mrs. Murray made headlines as she competed in the 12th series of BBC's Strictly Come Dancing. In 2012, away from tennis, Murray is a father of 2 daughters with his wife Kim Sears, who he married in 2015. The couple married in Dunblane Cathedral, in his hometown, before moving to Oxshott, Surrey. The doting father previously described the birth of his daughter, Sophia, as the best moment of my life, and spoke about how fatherhood changed his outlook when it came to his career. He previously told BBC Sports, "For the first time ever, tennis is probably more of a distraction from my home life than the other way around. Beforehand, in the build-up to a slam final, I'd always be thinking about that match. I don't feel like that just now. I'm just looking forward to the next time I see Sophia and Kim." Path Scotsman has been frontrunner for equality in tennis between men and women, and is no stranger to confronting important issues head-on. The British know. One is a fierce fighter for equal pay in tennis after he famously called out sexism at Wimbledon in 2017. During a press conference, a reporter began to ask Murray a question by saying, "Sam is the first US player to reach a major semi-final since 2009, to which Murray replied, "Male player." The journalist did not appear to understand what Murray meant, asking, "I beg your pardon?" before Murray again reminded him that Sam Querrey was the first male US player to reach a semi-final since 2009, not the first player. More recently, Murray hit out at the ridiculous sexism in sport after the first-ever female Ballon d'Or winner Ada Hegerberg was asked to twerk on stage. AFP, Getty. He said, "Another example of the ridiculous sexism that still exists in sport. Why do women still have to put up with that asterisk asterisk asterisk? What questions did they ask Mbappe and Modric? I imagine something to do with football, and to everyone who thinks people are overreacting and it is just a joke, it wasn't. I've been involved in sport my whole life and the level of sexism is unreal." Murray announced on Friday he hoped to end his career at Wimbledon, but admitted he may not make it past next week's Australian Open as he battles to recover from a chronic hip condition. The 11th of January 2019, T12 hours 14 minutes and 46 seconds, 976. John Dillon pays tribute to Andy Murray. Andy Murray did more than anyone else to smash the culture of the lovable British loser. He wasn't alone. Plenty of Olympians did their bit. And, in truth, there were plenty of winners around before Murray came along. Lennox Lewis, for one. But tennis was infected by this big, blushing, giggling kind of genuflection more than most of our pastimes, which is what the sport seemed like a decade or so ago despite the valiant and admirable efforts of Tim Henman. Murray battered the idea into submission. In the most obvious terms, by winning Wimbledon twice and another Grand Slam, the US Open, as well as 2 brilliantly and epically achieved Olympic titles. It was grit, pain, anger, tears, fury, frustration, and self-loathing over his failings which was behind it all, as well as a relentlessly profound commitment and determination to make the very, very most of his talent. It was more rewarding to witness than if he had he been some graceful, heaven-sent artiste for the ages. Tennis had one of those. Roger Federer. Murray gave us our own tennis tough guy, which is exactly what the sport here needed. His training regimes beggared belief and his style of play has broken his body at only 31. His nature, sometimes petulant, sometimes self-destructive but more often committed, focused, and brilliantly combative, allowed the public to live at awe with him because often, he was unable to contain his emotions on the court, swearing at himself or pouring forth tears on the center court, both after a losing final in 2012 and then again after his first, beyond dramatic and almost beyond superlatives triumph under a burning sun in 2013. The world could live all the highs and lows with him. Don't forget just how intelligent, witty, courteous and honorable he has been off the court as well. That was no artifice because there has been none about him at any time. Where on earth did the pub boar's braying dislike for his dour manner and his Scottishness come from? He was interested in winning at his sport, not creating a celebrity profile. The sniggering put-downs were risible piffle whenever you heard them. What makes Murray the most iconic figure among those who tore down the lovable loser, moral winner myth in recent years is that nobody else was so alone as they did it. It happened, too, in an era for his sport in which the Federer-Djokovic-Nadal axis meant he was competing in an equivalent period to that of Ali, Frazier and Foreman. Summer after summer he bore a weight of national expectation and scrutiny unparalleled in the career of any other British athlete. Murray Mania, he glibly called it in the press box. He had to live it out there on the center court on his own. He bore it as an unassuming hero. And when he got there in the end, we all knew he had done it the hard way, by plumbing the depths of his soul and testing the very limits of his physicality. He did it with guts and he did it with class, and if he does make it to one last Wimbledon this June, it will represent one last defiance of the limits placed upon him. It will be a true winner's farewell. The 11th of January 2019 T 11 hours 50 minutes and 24 seconds, 386 What is Andy Murray's net worth? According to the Sunday Times Rich List in 2018, Murray is worth £83 million. Despite earning just £1.5 million in winnings in 2017, down £11 million on the previous year, off-court sponsorship deals helped increase his net worth by £6 million. Much of Murray's career earnings have come from his performances on the court, however. For winning Wimbledon in 2013, the Brit banked a massive £1.6 million, and by the time he clinched his second title at SW19 in 2016, that prize pot had risen to £2 million for men's singles champions. Later that year, Murray scooped another £1.9 million at the ATP Finals as he took his earnings for 2016 north of £12 million. Of course, the tennis star's incomings are not restricted to his prize money. Sponsorship deals with Under Armour, Head, Standard Life, and Jaguar have helped boost his net worth despite many months away from the court. On top of that, Murray has set up a sports management company to help develop and mentor Britain's next stars. Speaking about 77 sports management, Murray told the BBC, "It's something that interests me a lot. I want to work with the best British athletes, whether that's male or female." The 11th of January 2019 T 11 hours 25 minutes and 2 seconds, 373 Becker hopes Murray gets proper goodbye at his beloved Wimbledon. Three-time Wimbledon champion Boris Becker hopes that Andy Murray can play through the pain to receive a proper goodbye at Wimbledon this summer. Becker, who is working for Eurosport at the Australian Open, said, "Yes, I was shocked when I heard the news today that Andy Murray retires at Wimbledon, at the latest. One of the greatest players of all time, a three-time Grand Slam winner, 2 Olympic gold medals, the world number 1 in 2016 and just a fine guy, a fine sportsman over the years. But he never really recovered after his hip surgery 18 months ago. I thought last summer, during the grass court season that he was better. He played well during Queen's but unfortunately didn't play Wimbledon. He started to come back slowly, got to the third round at the US Open but didn't play much in the fall. I was really hoping he would return strong at his beloved Australian Open. He has reached the final here 5 times but he lost in the second round in Brisbane and then had a practice session with Novak Djokovic. When the match was stopped at 6-1, 4-1 I thought, why would he stop the match at 4-1? Why would he do a practice match anyway? Unfortunately, today, he could barely speak. He had strong emotions, obviously announcing his retirement by the end of Wimbledon, if he's going to make it. He is apparently in so much pain that he can't put on his socks or his shoes, and he's really struggling with his everyday walks. I hope for him, he survives the Australian Open and he survives until Wimbledon, where he can get his proper goodbye in his beloved London. Game, set, match the 11th of January 2019 t 11 hours 10 minutes and 0 seconds, 133Z. But it's not all doom and gloom for British tennis today. On a sad day for British tennis, with news of Andy Murray's impending retirement, Cameron Norrie, Harriet Dart and Dan Evans all brought some cheer with significant victories. Norrie beat Jan-Lennard Struff in Auckland to earn a place in his first final on the men's tour, while Evans and Dart won in the last round of qualifying here at the Australian Open to reach main draw. The reward for Hart will be a first-round meeting with Maria Sharapova on Monday, when Evans will take on Japan's Tatsuma Ito, with Roger Federer his likely second-round opponent should he progress. Dart, a 22-year-old Londoner who grew up idolizing Sharapova, beat Ivana Jorovic 1-6, 6-3, 6-1. Dart's only previous Grand Slam appearance was thanks to a wild card at Wimbledon last summer, where she lost in the first round to Karolina Pliskova. "I'm super excited," the world number 132 said. "I've been playing good tennis and I've put a lot of hard work and effort into training, my preseason, so I knew my level was there. It was just about piecing it all together." Evans took the British contingent in the main draw to 8 when he beat Italian Paolo Lorenzi 6-3, 6-3. Next week will be Evans' first appearance in the main draw of a Grand Slam tournament since he returned from his doping suspension in April. "I'm nowhere near where I want to be yet, so it's just another step in the right direction," he said. Norrie, who had lost all 3 of his 3 previous tour-level semi-finals, beat German Struff 7-5, 4-6, 6-3. He will face tennis Sandgren in tomorrow's final before facing Taylor Fritz in the first round here on Monday. The 11th of January 2019 t 11 hours 8 minutes and 10 seconds, 840Z. Heather Watson singled out Andy Murray for his fight for women's rights. Watson, whose Australian Open ambitions get underway on Monday against Petra Martic, focused on the work Murray had done for the women's game as he announced the beginning of the end of his career. "He's been such a role model and he's been a huge supporter of female tennis as well," said the former British number 1. "To have a guy fighting for women's rights is pretty cool. He's just an awesome person. And it's sad because he's not leaving on his own terms, just because this is what life's thrown at him, and he has no choice." The 11th of January 2019 t 10 hours 55 minutes and 30 seconds, 670Z. Greg Rusedski has hailed Andy Murray as one of Britain's sporting greats. The former British number 1 and Grand Slam finalist, whose own career was ended early by a hip injury, told BBC Radio 5 Live, "He is one of the greatest British sportsmen in living history and he will be sorely missed. Let's hope he can retire at Wimbledon and have that send-off that he so deserves. He's maximised his career and been brilliant for Britain. Let's hope this Australian Open won't be his last tournament. He sacrificed everything to get to world number 1. What made him such a champion was that work ethic and drive. He's played during one of the toughest eras of men's tennis ever. To be number 1 in this period is phenomenal. He was the complete player." The 11th of January 2019 t 10 hours 36 minutes and 4 seconds, 923Z. Every time Murray proved he was the ultimate advocate for women in sport and becoming